Hey there, this is Stuart Matola. I help men get love, sex, and a kick-ass relationship. And for some men, that happens in their current relationship or marriage. And for some, it happens in a transition outside of that marriage in the years afterwards. So I work with that rare breed of man who is done complaining about how his marriage is in the shit tank. He's done numbing out, and that often happens through pot, alcohol, overworking, screen time, and it's as if he's actually having an affair with someone else. But obviously, it's with these other elements where he's not even dealing with what's happening in his marriage. And that rare breed of man who's willing to step into action to go after what he wants. And a lot of times I see guys scared, especially married guys, who are afraid that they have to blow up their marriage and they're going to be the bad dad and their kids are going to hate them. Well, I'm here to tell you that you can work that in a way that honors your family and honors those fears that you have. And precisely because you have those fears, I can guarantee you that you care enough not to blow up your life. It's only the jerk who blows up his life. So if you're watching this on YouTube on the rebroadcast and you want to subscribe, please click that subscribe button to the lower right to subscribe to my channel. If you're watching here on Facebook, please like and share with your friends. I love to see smileys, hearts, thumbs up, any feedback. And if you have a question, please put that in the comment section and I will get to that as well. I'm going to talk today about She Was the One. What the fuck happened? And so also stay tuned for a gift for one lucky guy that I will speak to at the end here. So I'm going to talk about a guy who I worked with and we transformed his life to explicitly get him what he wanted in his relationship. And for confidentiality reasons, I'm going to call him Bob. And he had 3 questions for me. He said, how'd things get so flat? How do I get the spark back? And when do I know that I need to call it quits? So I want to first talk about that, how to get so flat. Well, like many guys I see, he was in the day-to-day of his relationship, meaning he was in the ways in which, he felt like a lower priority. The kids, the family, everything else was taking priority, and they had gotten into the functionality of, work, life, house chores, where they were not seeing each other. And so typically when a guy's in that lower level, he needs to come out of that lower level to get to the higher level. It's like, duh, we're not spending time together. We're not prioritizing one another. And this is when a couple moves into a situation, I've written about this in my blog, about the unlived life of the couple. It's almost like the shadow life that they're dreaming about, both of them, but they're both on this other side in their independent lives and not even seeing each other. So it's this unlived life. And I'd spoken to Bob about that, and he was like, holy shit, you're right, that unlived life. They weren't speaking their dreams, their hopes, or aspirations. They weren't sharing their goals. They were just trying to get through the day-to-day without beating each other up. So life had taken over for them. And, we see this arc, and we all know it. There's the honeymoon phase in a relationship or a marriage, and then there's the post-honeymoon. Well, does it have to be like that? Of course not. But then again, the big question is, why does that happen so much for so many couples? So how do you get the spark back? Okay. This was one thing Bob and I spoke about. How do you get the spark back? Well, I've heard a lot of guys come to me and say, oh, we tried the whole date night thing and that didn't really work. Well, I'm here to tell you that, yeah, date nights are not going to work when there's unspoken truths. So I had Coach Bob, and I say this often to my clients, get past the shame and get back in the game. Get past the shame, get back in the game. And what that means is the shame of your marriage having turned to crap, okay? The shame of not being seen by your partner, the shame of not seeing her. How do we get past that and get back in the game and say, listen, we're going to take some conscious space. And instead of getting in a date night, we're going to actually sit together and speak really hard truths. Okay, and I coach my male clients on a specific way to do that. It's a simple speaker-listener model, okay? But if we're not speaking hard truth, a date night is going to be misery, okay? And I find that time and time again. And I want to be clear in a quick video, I'm not going to be able to speak to in depth to how you explicitly can get past your shame and get back in the game so that you can show up and have that hard conversation. That's work that takes much deeper one-on-one work to understand what's going on in your life, what have been your old habits, what's been your old programming. But in a nutshell, for the sake of this video, the ability to get past the shame and back in the game just means having the courage and openness and willingness to sit down in the room with your partner and speak those hard truths, and do it in a way where you're certain, okay, that you have the floor for 5 minutes, and you know she's not going to come at you and bicker and argue and challenge what you're saying, and you the same offer her that same respect and honor as well. So the ability to speak hard truths, okay, share dreams, share desires, share goals is one of the key things I teach in that process of how you get your spark back, okay? So that's just an initial part about that. And then we had also spoken about when's it time to call it quits. I'd spoken about this in our Band of Brothers call this past Tuesday, and that happens Tuesdays at 8 a.m. I invite any man out there to come join us. And I'd spoken about, when's it time to call it quits? Well, simply enough, you do this cost-benefit analysis. Like, what's working, what's not? Is this a massive uphill climb? But before you do that, you got to get to ground zero with yourself and ask yourself, do I still love this woman? Is there something that I want to fight for here in my marriage? What's my why? How can I get back in the room with her? Okay? Because just doing a cost-benefit analysis without that other information of what's my why, how do I get back in the room with her, is not going to get you to your deepest want, okay? So are you willing to work is a key question. Are you willing to do the work of communication? Now, I said before, a key thing that I see between the guys I work with and the guys I don't are the guys who are willing to say yes to a conversation and are willing to get past their fears that they have to blow up their lives, to be the bad guy, to maybe upset her by asking for what he wants, to be the guy who fears having to blow up his family. Okay, so the guys who get past that fear and understand that one of the ways that I work with that makes me unique is helping a man meet that middle ground where he understands he doesn't have to blow up his life, but he has to just confront the risks that he fears to ask for what he wants in his marriage. Okay, so that's a huge part of the work that I do, and that's a huge part of the work I did with Bob explicitly. And he knew that he did not want to call it quits. He still loved his wife very much, and so he began having those hard conversations. And it wasn't all fluid at first. There were some bumps along the road. But they started to develop trust that they could navigate difficult conversations. So they came out of these difficult conversations with a lot more trust and a lot more desire. So they had reconnected with their desire to be with one another. And so suddenly it wasn't work and kids and family dominating everything. Now there was a place for them as a couple. And the irony is, I see this a lot in American life, that when there isn't that space for the couple, the whole family suffers. You don't think your kids pick up on negativity between you and your spouse in those side comments or those passive-aggressive statements? Of course they do. And then your kids are wondering, why aren't mommy and daddy happy? They're picking up on it. So the ability to prioritize yourself as a couple and not just work and family provides that foundation, that bedrock for family to work better, for work to work better. So I'm at work now, not just escaping from my marriage and relationship, but I'm at work knowing that this actually is serving my family and my relationship and serving me. So there's a transformation that happened in that process when I was working with Bob. And I want to say one thing was he had developed in our work together a masculine ability to sit in the fire with his own hard feelings. Okay. So instead of just reacting when his partner said, oh, why didn't you do that? Or did you do this? Or did you forget that? He would actually start to self-assess and get a better understanding of like, oh man, why do I blow her off? Or why does she feel like a nag to me? So he took that time to sit in the fire with his own hard feelings, which enabled his ability to actually do that work with his partner. And there you go. I mean, we all know the ability to respond versus just react gives us much more clarity and fluidity to navigate difficult conversations. And so just a few tidbits here. I love this idea of we want closeness, but not so much that we feel trapped by it. We want closeness in our relationships, but not so much that we feel trapped in it. Okay, and so one way my client had dealt with that was by talking to his partner, like, yes, I want intentional time with you, and I don't feel like we always have to, spend every weekend together. How can we take time for ourselves? He actually ended up joining a men's group and having time with others so that he did not feel trapped, where she was the only one that he fulfilled his needs of intimacy with. And then another thing is, is marriage or relationship a choice, or is it mutually enforced compliance? Well, think of the latter. That sounds like a prison. And I see that time and time again with guys where they don't feel like they're choosing to every day show up and be in their marriage, but they're in this enforced compliance kind of deal because they signed the contract. They said, till death do us part. And, they don't want to shake things up and rock the family. But I'm saying time and again, the man's fear of rocking the family by asking for what he wants are two totally separate things. Okay? Having the willingness to take the risk to ask for what you want is not blowing up your life. And that's one thing the guys I work with get immediately, and that's a big reframe. So real quick, I did get a question ahead of time from Jimmy out of Tucson, Arizona, and he said something that I see a lot, and actually I was speaking with a client yesterday who said the same thing. I feel like a second-class citizen when it comes to parenting. She makes all the decisions, and there's no space in the family for me. And a lot of times when I think I have a good idea and I come to her, afterwards, she convinces me that that was a bad idea. And he actually said it kind of even hints of gaslighting, where I'm being manipulated to not even believe in my own skills as a father. And he said it skeptically because, I think a part of him thought it seemed insane that he would feel gaslit by his own wife. Okay. So, Jimmy, if you're out there listening, what I want to say to you is take a moment and ask yourself, do you allow yourself to be gaslit? Okay. Or at least have that feeling where you come to your wife with a great idea or something that you want to see happen with your children, and then you get talked out of it. Okay. I see this time and again. And then after a while, guys say, screw it. I'm not even going to bring shit up. Let her raise the damn kids. I've seen this time and time again. Okay. And it's super challenging for a dude to live in a family structure where he feel like he can't be a leader in that family structure. So Jimmy, what I would say to you is notice the part of you, okay, that allows, okay, this isn't about a fight, okay, this isn't about you being right or her being wrong, but notice the part of you that cedes authority, okay, that gives away, okay. So, and then convey the impact to your wife of that. Like, I don't feel like I have a place in our family to help raise our kids. I want to try to find places where I can be part of the decision making. I'm going to be more energized. I'm going to show up better. And I'd like you to just loosen some of the control. Okay. So that's the first thing I'd say to you. Okay. And then also, it's really critical that you begin to step in to show up and be reliable and be responsible, because time and again, I see guys saying, I want to be a part of the family system. And then I say, well, how are you stepping in to actually do that? And they'll look at me and be like, yeah, I guess I really don't. So actually stepping in, maybe plan a family outing for your family. And don't be attached to it going perfect, okay? But just know that you're taking the initiative, okay? So I'm at about 15 minutes here. I want to say again, if you're watching this on my YouTube channel, please subscribe on the lower right with the subscribe button. I'd love to give you more tips. And I also, at my website at stuartmatola.com, if you found this helpful, please check out my website. Really, the best way for me to know if I can help a man is to have a conversation with him. It's a low-risk endeavor and something I thoroughly enjoy, getting to know new guys and how their situation resonates and how I can help them. I did mention here at the end that I would be having a free giveaway. And so if you are interested or you're watching the rebroadcast and you'd like a copy of my book, Fixing You Is Killing Me, A Conscious Roadmap to Knowing When to Save and When to Leave Your Relationship, please put a comment in the comment bar, or even better, email me at info@stuartmatola.com. My name is there to the left. It's just stuartmatola.com, and I will send you a free copy of Fixing You Is Killing Me, which I like to say is a hybrid memoir that tells my story of how I navigated into having love, sex, and a kick-ass relationship. And it's a hybrid book that has points and tips that are universal for all men and individuals. Again, thanks so much for being here. I hope this was helpful, and please stay in touch. And if you want to learn more about me, check out stuartmatola.com. Have a kick-ass day. Thanks so much. Bye.